Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another mildly interesting video. You're not gonna believe this. I was on a ship, it was going through the Triangle of Sadness, and now I'm washed up on this deserted island. Now fortunately, I have seen the movie Triangle of Sadness, so I kind of expected that this would happen. So before I jumped off and swam over here, I managed to go to the anime room in the cruise and grab as much anime as I can find right in this bag. Really should have bought a DVD player too. Every gamer has always been asked the question, if you were stuck on an island and you can only bring 5 games with you, which ones are you bringing? We anime fans always get the short end of the stick, I wonder why. So, I figured now is the time to actually answer that question. What if the same thing happened, but this time, it's only anime? Maybe later I'll make a list for both movies and TV shows, but for now, here is my list of 5 anime series I would bring to an island. Alright, well, let's see what's inside the bag. Now, if you are going to be stuck on an island for practically forever, then you will need something to last that long period, and that's why we have to look at the long runners, the ones with the tons and tons of episodes. That's why my first choice in my mind comes to One Piece. I mean, you've got more than 1,000 episodes in just one show, and it has consistently high ratings across many platforms like IMDb and such, which is impressive, especially considering that you're running a show like this. But the thing is, I could never get into One Piece. You could put a gun to my head and I wouldn't be able to even start the first episode. As of now, the episode count is just way too daunting. I mean, it took me 3 months to watch Dust Maiden of Amnesia, and that is a 12-episode anime series. What makes you think that I'm willing to watch all this? Then again, you would be hard-pressed to find another anime with this much content in what is technically counted as 1 season, or 26 seasons if you're sane. I mean, when it comes to long runners, the only other show I've had some experience with would be Sailor Moon. However, I've only completed the reboot in full. I tried watching the first season, and I think if I had to watch 200 episodes of Usagi using the bag of game controls as soap dishes, I might go insane faster than you could say munch a bunch of crunchy carrots. And no, I will not be bringing Octonauts onto the island. Nice try, but I will not be tempted by the better life I could be living down over there when I'm already stuck up here. Then again, we are so far away from civilization that I don't think anyone would mind if I decided to skip the cosmic horror episodes of an anime. Plus, the banter between the 5 seems pretty good, especially in the reboot. I mean, it seems like the classic 92 anime would have a good mix of after-school shenanigans and plenty of cosmic horror to fill me up. You know what? Screw it. I'm gonna have to choose Sailor Moon Classic for just one reason. One Piece is a bunch of seafaring pirates lasting 1,000 episodes. I don't think I would like to be reminded about the sea when I am stuck on a deserted island with no kind of civilization around. It's also because I'm a lot more familiar with Sailor Moon in general, even if I've only seen the reboot. Well, at least I'll have 200 episodes to keep me entertained. But if we're going for show length, then sazae-san is probably the best option, boasting over double the episode count of One Piece. This show has been going on since 1969 and simply follows normal people doing normal things. Perfect for when you're stranded on a deserted island away from normal people doing normal things, yet you've been an idiot not to put this on the list. The best part is that each episode is its own story. One Piece has multiple arcs going on and so many characters, and it would be best to start from episode 1 and keep going on from that point. But sazae-san, you could probably jump into any episode that you're interested in and see the little antics that this family goes through. And again, like, this trumps Sailor Moon because while each episode can be seen as its own thing, sazae-san just has quantity, and that's kind of what I'm going for here. But the show being episodic and focusing on realistic antics is a bonus when I need to remind myself about civilization. I feel like that's the deal with these older shows, like the Tsunami Trio, the Sailor Moon Classic, Dragon Ball Z, and Pokemon. They were written in a way that any kid could randomly tune into one episode and have a high chance of not missing out any important information about the larger plot at hand. And this is important because I'm not necessarily planning to marathon these anime. I just want to make sure that I won't get bored with them. And if I can pick and choose between the episodes based on what interests me, that's even better. And that actually reminds me of another type of anime, anthologies. And I know this may seem like a cheap answer, but really, I don't know that many anime anthologies. And that's 2 strikes to my integrity. However, I know of 3 so far. Memories, Neo Tokyo, and Genius Party. The former 2 are more my kind of thing. I mean, I love sci-fi and I love Black Mirror, so I feel like both Memories and Neo Tokyo would be right up my alley. But the problem is they each only have 3 episodes. I mean, come on. I have an eternity to kill on the deserted island. I need more. I'll just go for Genius Party solely because it has 7 mini-films and I want to make sure we go for quantity here. I could be wrong. I haven't seen any of these anime. If I do get 3 strikes on a deserted island, who do the anime fans send to hunt me down? Well, maybe let's try to avoid getting any extra strikes to preserve my integrity, and now let's solely look at the anime I have seen. So, Right now, we have a long series of cosmic horror and school banter through Sailor Moon Classic, a regular everyday slice of life series with Sazae-san, and short separate stories through Genius Party. Now, what I need is pure entertainment. I don't care how, it just needs to be fun to watch. Probably, maybe, so bad that it loops back to being fun to watch. I Got a Cheat Skill and Became Unrivaled in the Real World 2 is still so far the worst anime I have ever seen. Flat, boring characters who are who they are simply because the story demands it, with new skills and rewards thrown seemingly out of nowhere combined into janky animation that makes the high-octane action scenes, well, in quotations, feel like a snail's race. I have never seen anything like this before. However, the wish fulfillment in this anime is so insane that it actually loops back around to being enjoyable. I mean, we're throwing out our dignity with this list. Who's gonna critique us? The sand? I probably could have picked Instant Death, which I have made an episode on before, but with that one, there are some genuinely good bits that last so shortly that I'm better off just rewatching those moments in my head and coming up with fan fictions on how it continues using an amalgamation of The Last of Us and the Three-Body Problem, because those are some of my favorite pieces of fiction ever. Maybe I should make another list for games and literature another time. Anyways, the problem with Instant Death for me is that it knows it's a comedy, and it tries to be a comedy by pointing out just how ridiculous some of these isekai tropes are, but I just don't find it funny. The parody elements just fall flat to me, whereas Cheat Skill just focuses on being pure wish fulfillment to the lonely audience. Boy golly gee, does that fit our situation very well. And the comedy comes naturally through the execution. It's kind of like how The Room by Tommy Wiseau was written to be like some sort of tragic drama, yet all the elements came together so poorly that it became a comedic masterpiece instead. There is barely any genuinely good stuff in the show, so when you watch it, you're not constantly thinking about the better things that they showed and ignored, because it would cause you to feel betrayed. This is what Instant Death did for me, and ironically enough, that was the thing that killed its chances of getting on this list for now. I'm gonna go with Cheat Skill for the slot. Now, the last one is probably the hardest for me because we need to make this option count. My first thought was to pick Madoka Magica, but the thing is, I do not think I could watch that over and over again. Much of the story goes very well on the first watch with no spoilers. And while we watching, it is fun to spot all of the foreshadowing leading up to the many twists, and the story is just very dark for me though. I do like dark stories, but I don't think I could always go for this. Now, we could do another episodic anime series, but we already have 2 anime filling those niches, and if you want to use logic to fill in what's missing, my brain would probably just short circuit because I don't know what to do here. So, we're gonna use feeling instead to determine the last anime on the slot, and there is one anime that immediately comes to mind. The Apothecary Diaries is a great anime series that follows a blunt apothecary from a red light district, now suddenly thrust into the world of the Emperor and its politics after being kidnapped and sold as a servant into the Eastern Palace, where she solves a whole bunch of medical mysteries. And as you can probably tell, there's not really one big overarching plot connecting everything. Well, it's more so of an episodic series, perfect for what I'm going for. Okay, well, to be fair, there are some arcs that go on, so there is still that. Now, the biggest saving grace that this show has is probably the characters. Not only Jinchi and Mao Mao, who are some of the most fun characters I've ever seen in an anime with some of the best chemistry I've ever seen, but every single other character here as well. They're all fantastic. We are given just enough information about all of them to be able to see them beyond simple background fillers, and it feels like nearly every single voice actor gives their all to their characters, making them entertaining to watch. It is easily one of the funniest, most feel-good shows I've ever seen. It is also one of the most cerebral shows I've ever seen. The best way I can describe this show is that it's like Hyouka with its laid-back and hilarious fun-to-watch characters, but with a lot more higher stakes. Every possible assassination attempt, every misplaced ingredient, every detail is shown to matter in this subtle Game of Thrones. And as a mystery series, the audience is basically trained to pay attention to every detail because it could matter. A location shown in a previous episode may turn out to be hiding something big in the following episodes, and we are constantly paying attention to every single clue. But even so, at the end of every mystery, Mao Mao's conclusion is given, and it is not
not what you would expect, and it surprises you in the best way possible. But even with this great mystery layer to it, you can just simply lie back and let the story guide you through the twists and the turns that the show takes, and it's always fun. The fact that you can look at it at a hyper-analytical lens to try and spot every single clue with your knowledge of medicine to figure out the conclusion behind every mystery, or simply sit back and enjoy the characters on screen and watch the smart people figure out everything, is fantastic and might allow me to rewatch the series in the future multiple times. And that's why I will be putting the Apothecary Diaries as my 5th and final Desert Island anime. And that's it. Those are my 5 anime that I would bring with me if I was stuck on a deserted island for all of eternity. I know that I focus a lot on quantity and how episodic the animes are, but I'm not looking for the best anime to rewatch over and over. I mean, like, fish may be the greatest meat ever, but by the time you eat it for the 5th time, it gets tiring and boring.
I probably should have kept that in mind.
Rather, I decided to go for shows that I wouldn't get bored with. And I don't know if I could get bored with these options.
Regardless, this should be enough to keep you entertained on this island for now. That is, of course, assuming that the anime fans don't come and try to murder me for the 3 tracks I've accumulated during my stay here. But it would also mean they would have to come here in the first place. Is that a missile? That seems to be headed for me. Oh, there's a boat over there. Looks like that's where they launched the missile. Should probably get back on it before the anime fans can try to murder me.